Hello, KINES 5 students, and welcome to week 9 of Sport and Society. I hope that last week you enjoyed learning about Billie Jean King and Muhammad Ali. They both unbelievable warriors and just champions in life, and were very strong and stood up for the things they believed in, even though it cost them tremendous things in their personal life. And Billie Jean King is still rolling along, and her legacy and Muhammad Ali's legacy live on, and will forever. And their impact on social issues and society were massive at that time. Super controversial issues. One, the Vietnam War. The other one, rights for women and opportunities for women. And those two athletes really are a great segue into our next era of sport and society, which are the 70s to the 80s. And like every era that we have studied so far, there was a lot going on in the 70s, leading up to the 80s. And some of the notable things that were happening, and this piggybacks on our assignment with Billie Jean King, because she was instrumental in this major event that took place on June 23rd in 1972, and that was when Title IX became a law. And one of the links for this week's assignment talks a little bit about the history of Title IX and what the intent of Title IX is. But if you've never heard that phrase, Title IX, it was a huge issue. And what Title IX basically said is that no person in the United States shall, on the basis of sex, be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits of, or be subjected to discrimination under any education activity receiving federal financial assistance. So every college receives some form of money from our government. And so this law being passed was huge, because now it was law that opportunities were going to have to be increased for female athletes and female coaches and female trainers and everything that's involved with college and high school athletics. And so Billie Jean King was a huge supporter of this, and really, some would say, kind of did this, made this happen. She used her influence that she was able to gain through her notoriety in being a superstar woman athlete, to then use that influence, or use that seat at the table to create some change. And it's pretty awesome when you look at how she was able to do that and what she was able to accomplish, despite just lots of hate and lots of people putting up obstacles. But that was a big part of the 70s. Another big issue in the 70s, we have Olympics in every few years, and there's always major social issues happening at the same times of Olympics. And so when you look at sometimes historic moments, you can associate them with a certain Olympic games that happened, because those issues that were happening societally were also being mirrored in our Olympics, and the politics, and just all the different things. In 1972, Mark Spitz, who was the greatest Olympic swimmer of all time until Michael Phelps came along, but he won record-setting 7 gold medals in the 72 Summer Olympics in Munich. And it was a big deal, and it was and shortly right after that, unfortunately, tragedy struck, and this was an Olympic Games that will always be remembered for this event, and it overshadowed the accomplishments of the athletes. But at those Olympic Games, members of the Israeli Olympic team were taken hostage and eventually killed by terrorists. And Mark Spitz, who had just won his 7 gold medals, who identifies himself as Jewish, was protected by guards and aware of the hostage situation, and eventually taken to London, then to the United States, in fear that they may come after him as well. So again, just, you know, sports intertwined with political issues, with financial issues, with um, trends, with fads. And as we get past the 72 Summer Olympics, other events that were happening during that same time was the merger of the AFL and the NFL. So at that, up until 1970, there was two different professional leagues, and there was always arguments about which league was better. There was always battles to get the best college players lured to one league or the other league. And the merger of these leagues really created an explosion of money for professional sports from the 70s to the 80s, well, in the 70s. And seasons were extended, playoff formats were added, and major money now was changing sports big time. Television contracts started coming into play, and it was a big deal. In 1972, at those same Olympic Games, that Mark Spitz won his 7 medals, our men's Olympic basketball team in a final against the Soviet Union. They're getting down to, the nitty gritty at the end of the game. It's 50-49 with the U.S. lead. And then some controversial, questionable calls and illegal timeouts and redos eventually gave the Soviets, I believe, 3 different chances to score a winning bucket. And on the third one, they did. And the American team boycotted and did not accept their silver medals. So these were major events. These were worldwide events. The Olympics, it used to be even bigger deal, I think, than it is now. It seemed like, because that was all you watched when you were a kid during those years in the 70s. There were just so many awesome things happening, and there were less things happening. And so there was a real focus on the Olympics when the Olympics came around each year. And so we watched these games. In 1972, we saw the Miami Dolphins have the first perfect season, and in the NFL, going 14-0. Again, this was the start of the explosion of major contracts, endorsement deals, free agency, and just a whole changing of the face of professional sports. And so when you say, the professional sports are changing, then obviously we can say that all the things that they have had an impact on are also changing. And there's more influence, there's more endorsements, there's more access. And so sports, more than ever in the 70s, were making changes and affecting society and intertwined with society in so many ways. In the 70s, shortly after Title IX was passed as a law, a note of trivia, at that time there was a tennis player, men's tennis player named Bobby Riggs, and Bobby Riggs was a controversial person in that time. He was a person that spoke out against women's rights and used to say disparaging things about women tennis players, and he would try to do it in a comedic way. He was kind of a wise guy, and he was known for making smart remarks and just doing outlandish things. And so he was a popular person in society, especially in tennis during that era. And at one point, there was a challenge, and some would say it was the greatest tennis match of all time. But Bobby Riggs accepted a challenge, or made the challenge, to Billie Jean King. And Riggs was 55. It was in 1973, and this was what he said was the opportunity to prove that male athletes were more dominant than female athletes. And this was a battle of the sexes. And this was a huge deal that was televised all over the place. And King defeated Riggs in straight sets in the Houston Astrodome. And at the end of the day, I think I've heard Billie Jean King say that, Bobby Riggs, you know, when I initially met him and thought I knew what he was all about, um, my opinion changed of him, and really he helped do more for Title IX approval, Title IX, acceptance and adherence to, and just so many opportunities for females in sports. And to get beaten in straight sets by a female athlete after talking all that smack, he really had to eat crow. And it's a classic. I hope you guys would maybe be inspired to want to watch some of that match or some of the press conferences leading up to that match, or maybe you saw some when you were doing your Billie Jean King assignment for last week. But just classic exchanges, verbal exchanges between the two leading up to the match and even during the match. But in the end of the day, Billie Jean King smoked them. And that was the battle of the sexes in that era. So a lot going on in that time era. Another Olympic event that happened more towards at the very end of this decade, 1980, was the United States hockey team. And during the time of those Olympics, we had, believe it or not, you're going to see if you do some studying on this particular team, you're going to see this almost the exact same one by one social issues that are happening right now politically, globally, and socially. Were happening at that time, and there's a great story about our U.S. hockey team that won the gold medal in 1980, and that is also one of the links that's going to be part of your homework assignment. There's a short link about that team, but there's a great movie about that team with Kurt Russell called Miracle, and I would encourage you guys, if you like sports movies, this is one of the best ones I've ever seen. And it was just a great achievement by just a great team. The third link you guys are going to have this week is another tennis player, Margaret Court, and you'll learn a little bit about her and what a stud she was in the tennis world and as a human being. Just star after star, and so many great examples. And thank goodness for the internet to be able to allow us to have access to information and learn about some of these great athletes. And so I hope that you are enjoying learning about them and learning about their battles and their struggles through this class. This week, we're going to study two more athletes. We did two last week, and these don't need to be long write-ups, but I just want you to learn about these people because I think there's lessons to be learned, there's perspective to be gained, and through their struggles and through their accomplishments. One is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and the other is Chris Evert. And Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, his sport was basketball, and Chris Evert was a women's tennis player. And so both of these athletes had opportunities at the highest level to be superstars as human beings, and they rose to the challenge and did everything they could to be the best people they could. And so they're inspiring. And so I hope that you'll enjoy learning about them this week, who they were, what sports they played, what issues in society did they impact, the typical questions that we have for the homework assignments as we journey through these great athletes. So as we get through week 9, there's only a few more weeks left, and there's only a few more decades left before we get up to current times. And our next era is the, you know, when you say explosion of money in sports, the 80s, that explosion just kept exploding, and we saw the introduction to the Jordan era. And so we'll be talking a little bit about that next week. But I hope you guys enjoy this week's information, and I look forward to seeing your assignments about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Chris Evert. And again, as always, if you are missing any assignments, please get those turned in, and we will get you caught up. But you have to turn the work in. So have a great day and a great weekend. Enjoy the 70s. They were unbelievable moments in sports and society, and the athletes that we picked this week, I think are going to inspire you, and they're not going to let you down. So get in there and learn about them. And if you have questions, please contact me whenever you need to. Have a great day. Bye-bye.